times the judge was attacked on paternity court.
You sitting up here, you taking her back.
I know that's a damn lie. I know that's a damn...
That is a really huge pill to swallow.
Mrs. Wallace was brought to the court to determine whether or not her husband was the baby daddy of his two mistresses' children.
Ms. Reed, you are demanding that Ms. Austin have a paternity test administered on her child, whom she claims was fathered by your estranged husband.
Yes, Your Honor.
You're hoping the DNA test will prove that your husband is not her baby's father.
While Mr. Wallace had the guts to put the responsibility of all his affairs on his wife.
You don't have any issues with cheating on your wife?
No, she's not a victim. First off, she wasn't a good wife. She barely cooks, she doesn't clean. I cheated because I was bored in my marriage. I was too young to get married in the first place.
Why did you get married?
Because I felt like it was the right thing to do because I was being pressured and I had 3 kids with her.
And all the women fighting over this man gave the judge a severe headache.
Ms. Austin,
I found out.
be Ms. Wallace.
I'm sorry.
Soon to be Ms.
Correct.
Wallace.
Oh my God. Correction, guys.
Ryan told
Oh
me
my God.
that he wasn't marrying anyone else. Sorry, so I'm sorry that he's where Ryan told me. Diddy, chill, chill. Let's go. Walk out. Get your hand on my face. You mad. But Kenny, you don't.
It's Wallace.
The audacity of this man to insult the judge with his rude remarks stunned the whole court.
I am nothing.
Because you cheated on me.
No, you didn't. No,
If I could
is
go
that
back
the
to hand
lie?
the time, I would have did more things when I was...
Is that the lies you said?
So what you're saying is, if you could go back in time, you would cheat on your wife
yes,
more.
I would do it again.
Because you feel like
She is a whore. She cheated on me. She slept with my friends.
He said
She
he
is a
was your
whore.
friend.
She has about 6 boyfriends right
Let's
now.
get some order.
The situation escalated so much that Judge Lake had to throw the ignorant man out of the courtroom.
You're not gonna address a woman in this courtroom that way. You better pipe yourself down.
Listen to me. You don't flip people off. You don't use profanity in my courtroom. You understand me?
No.
You want to go out of here?
Yeah.
Mr. Wallace, get out the court. Get out the court.
And I'm
You
gonna
know what?
Hey,
You
what are you gonna do
sorrier
about
than
it?
I thought you
Let's
were.
go.
Get out the courtroom, Mr. Wallace.
You don't
Mr.
go.
Wallace,
Go out.
leave the
Don't scare
courtroom.
me.
Go out of the
I'm
courtroom.
Chirac.
Leave
Go out of
the
the courtroom.
courtroom, Mr. Wallace.
To save himself from the charges of contempt of court, Mr. Wallace came running back, asking for an apology.
I'd like to apologize to you in the court, the bailiff, and to Miss Reed and Miss Austin, Miss Roberts as well.
Oh my, look at those crocodile tears. Jolly good show, sir.
I came here for my kids. I never had a father.
Take your time.
I never had anybody to show me how to treat a woman or to be a man, or I'm just here for my kids.
Let's see the result to know what this whole mess will translate into.
When it comes to baby Danielle Wallace, Mr. Wallace, you are the father.
Miss Roberts is so disappointed in Mr. Wallace being her baby daddy that she walks out of the court.
I gotta go.
This outrageous episode started out with the family of the alleged father disowning a little child because of its color.
Mr. Hughes, you say you're stuck between your mother and your ex-girlfriend who are in a heated dispute in court today. Ms. McBirth, you petitioned the court for a DNA test to prove your son, Kakitho Hughes, is not the father of Ms. Jackson's 2-year-old son, Elijah Jackson. Ms. Jackson, you say Ms. McBirth has been poisoning her son by convincing him he's not the biological father of your child. You claim the timing does add up, and today's paternity test will prove you right.
Even from the start, the alleged grandma started going at Miss Jackson.
This woman is trouble. She is trouble with a capital T. She, as a matter of fact, I call her the 3 T's. Trash, trouble, and trifling. That's what she is.
Maybe because he is so white?
Because he's all the way white. He ain't got no black in here. Everything I see got powder puff on it. I don't see no chocolate nowhere, okay?
No, ma'am.
Whatever.
The grandma didn't like it when Judge Lake called her out on her hypocrisy.
Miss McBirth, I have to ask you, you're very tough on Miss Jackson. Do you have anything to say about your son's behavior?
My son has, yeah, I know exactly what type of person he is. He just as trifling as she is. He's a handsome guy. He's my son. And I know what he do. But he's still, no matter what he do, he's still gonna be my son.
Her reaction to the bond between his son and his alleged son was nothing but disgusting.
When you look at this picture,
It make me want to throw up.
it seems like your son is kissing the baby. It makes you want to
It
throw
make me want
up.
to throw up because it's a
Why?
lie.
She didn't stop there. She also squabbled rudely with Judge Lake. Like, what's wrong with you, madam?
Your son to be kissing an innocent child?
Because it's not his.
It doesn't matter, really, if he's showing the child love.
Not his.
She is lucky the judge behaved sensibly and didn't toss her out of the courtroom.
I've heard him call other dudes daddy, though.
Let me explain
I've heard him say that.
Go ahead, Trash. Tell the
when he
truth.
sees-
Tell the truth.
And Mr. Hughes' consistent denial and newbie reaction to the situation explained why he was doubting the paternity in the first place.
I'm glad I'm in this chair, because I get to see the big picture. The big picture of this is she's not sick of the baby, she's sick of you. Because you running around here. You running around here, you having babies. She just said it.
I don't know
And
what
at
they
the
talking
end
about.
of the day, it falls on her. The weight falls on her. The responsibility falls on her.
I don't sleep around like that.
Well, I don't know how many kids you got.
The trifling mother-daughter duo got on the judge's last nerve.
That child is not my son. She got men coming and going in and out of her house.
My
We
father's a
don't know.
brown-haired, blue-eyed dude, so.
How you know? He just gonna say that
Blue-eyed.
because, you know, she gonna freak him after this.
So now, wait a minute, you're accusing your
My
brother of not having enough sense to testify as to his own experience?
He's told us it wasn't his baby. He just told us that it wasn't his baby. So how?
When did he tell you this?
I never
Last
said
night?
that.
The outrageous and trashy reaction of the plaintiffs alone to the result deserves a punishment.
2-year-old Elijah Jackson, and whether Mr. Hughes is the father, Mr. Hughes, you are Elijah's father.
That's a lie. You a lying trick. What did you do? What did you do? I know that's a damn lie. I know that's a damn lie. I'm sick of Somebody fix it.
Mr. Johnson came to the court to prove that he was duped into a paternity claim by Miss Owens.
Ms. Owen, you claim that at the time you were pregnant, you believed the baby was Mr. Johnson's, but as he got older, you were worried that he looked like Mr. Tyson, the other father in question. Since he's now deceased, you've requested Mr. Tyson's family members submit to DNA testing, and his mother will be joining us shortly to learn the results as well.
The squabbling between the duo further soured the whole situation.
You lying.
Ms. Owens, did you tell him at any point that he was the father and then change it and say he wasn't?
Go ahead.
Let me finish.
Go ahead.
At the beginning, yes, I did.
At the hospital?
And I paid for him to come to the hospital. I bought his ticket. I paid for him to come back.
Where's all this coming from,
and
though,
I paid
man?
for him to go to Chicago to
So
live with his daddy. That was like-
Wow, the nerve of this woman calling her ex-lover repeatedly the little fella.
that this little fella over here that possibly could be my baby daddy. I knew in my heart that he was the father because I was in love with this little fella at one point. You know, it was never in my mind that he was my baby daddy. This little fella was in my mind.
Mr. Johnson also got all riled up and started calling Miss Owens some nasty names.
Yes, of course.
Supporting,
Changing
no.
diapers, feeding them
The
while she was
diapers
laying on her fat. You know, that's what
Wait. Now you have to watch your language.
I'm just saying, that's okay, Your Honor, because it is fact. You know, that's okay.
The audacity of this man referring to the judge as a girl got her enraged.
Yes, I did.
He ain't do nothing else. That's all he did.
And you were living
I
with?
was living there with
Living
her.
with,
Once I came there
live-
with her, you know, I was paying for everything. I was paying to go back and forth to the doctor
He
visits.
did not pay. He
All
only
that.
went. He ain't never been to one of my doctor visits with me, never in life. And the day when I was about to have my baby, he went
Don't
that
believe
day.
this girl,
he didn't
man.
come with me
don't,
that
don't
day.
believe her, man. On
No,
some
he
real-
didn't come
I'm a
until I
woman,
dilated.
first of
of all,
this jiggery-pokery did nothing more than test the patience of Judge Lake.
My son was like, my
Sex with
son.
this man. How could you not think that he could have been your baby's
I
father?
remember that he hit it. You ain't gotta tell me.
Hey, everybody hit that.
Oh, wait a
Don't be
minute.
mad at me.
Mr. Johnson, let's get some order.
Miss Owen's stupid attempts to mock Mr. Johnson made a complete fool out of herself.
Shut up and quit
ahead,
talking.
man.
You
Go
can
ahead.
hear
Go
something
ahead. I
with
just
them
wanna hear
little
your
bitty
answer.
ears.
Go ahead.
Like I said, it was never in my mind that he was my baby daddy. This little fella was in my mind, okay?
How could that not be in your mind?
Little one, can you
had
calm down?
sex with him.
Pipe down, little one.
You had sex with him. How could that not be in your mind?
Sit, dog.
How could that not be in your mind? You ain't funny or none of that, though.
Mr. Johnson.
The duo constantly backtalked the judge. They're fortunate they weren't kicked out of the courtroom.
All of this, little one, have a seat. You're not making anybody look bad except yourself.
You up here talking to me?
I'm addressing him next.
The other alleged grandmother entered the court and handled the situation quite gracefully.
May of 2009, on the Detroit East Side, I heard from Alexis shortly after that my son might be the father of her son. I would like for him to be my grandson because it'll be a part of my son. I have something from my son.
Let's see how this messy fiasco will unfold now.
Mr. Johnson, you are not his father.
There it is.
When it comes to Dakari Johnson, based on the testing results, the probability of relatedness is 99.99%.
Doubt, denial, and dilemma. This next case started like any other, with the plaintiff denying the paternity of 21-month-old Raiden.
He denies fathering your 21-month-old son, Raiden, only because you won't have sex with him.
Look at them. They can't even be civil for a minute.
Me and Stanley planned my son.
We did not plan a baby.
Yes, we did.
No, we did not.
We've also never used a condom. We talked about having a baby numerous times, so.
Oh, now that was uncalled for.
It's just Latoya Lester, she just always lying. She's known the street to be a hoe. Excuse my language. It's just
He's, Your Honor, he's my French, he's the hoe.
Oh, God.
Because if you decide.
Mr. Lewis blatantly ignored the court order, even after the judge reprimanded the duo for calling each other filthy names.
Latoya is a hoe.
Did I just say use respectful language in the court?
I'm sorry, but that's just what it is.
No. It's not what it's gonna be in this courtroom.
Yes, Your Honor.
Miss Lester was repeatedly trying to prove her nonsensical point quite arrogantly.
You let another man sign the birth certificate when you told Mr. Lewis it was his child?
Yes, I did.
Why?
Because I'm not gonna chase someone around. You knew you had this baby. Why do I have to chase you around? Why do I have to tell you this? If I've told you once, I even enlightened him on the days that I was scheduled to go see the doctor during my pregnancy.
The situation got a lot more intertwisted when another potential father stepped up to the podium.
Well, she been with her fiance for 10 years. He could be the father.
My name is Kevin Brown, Your Honor.
Mr. Lewis just testified that you and Ms. Lester have had a 10-year relationship.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you've been sexually active with her for those 10 years?
Not at all, Your Honor.
Stop lying, man.
When I got in the picture, Raiden was already, I'd say, 3 to 4 months.
So you don't believe you can't be, what, no, that still doesn't matter, because if you've been 10 years on and off.
Not sexually, though, Your Honor.
Even I'm sick of Miss Lester's silly justifications at this point.
No, well, I'm having sex with him and him, and they both know it. When I'm mad at him, I go to him. When I'm him, it's not a secret. It's not like I'm playing neither one, because they both know. At the beginning of this year, that's when we decided to be serious with this relationship.
When she just hit me 2 weeks ago.
I called him.
In the tub while he's out of town, trying to get me to come have sex with her.
Do you have proof?
Did you say
proof? What I need proof.
Mr. Lewis's mother explained how the stakes were pretty high for her. We are not done with them, as the real show is just about to begin.
When it comes to 21-month-old Raiden, it has been determined by this court. Mr. Lewis, you are not the father.
Wait for it, as Miss Lewis still has one confession to make.
So do you know, Miss Lester, who Raiden's biological father is?
Yes, he's deceased, Your Honor, so that's another reason I was trying to.
Cheating, deception and dishonesty were the basis of the relationship between Miss Hewitt and Mr. Crisp.
Now, Mr. Crisp, you claim Ms. Hewlett cheated on you at least 10 different times during your relationship.
Yes, Your Honor.
You confess that you don't believe that you fathered 2-year-old Bentley, and you admit that not believing you are Bentley's biological father has caused you tremendous pain, and it has damaged your relationship with Ms. Hewlett.
Yes, Your Honor.
The entitled attitude of Miss Hewlett put off the judge from the very start.
I did it myself. I was working, he was partying, I was left alone at home. He was never there.
And this forced you to cheat.
Yes, it wasn't okay, but I mean, at least I tell the truth that I told him as soon as I cheated on him. I told him 3 hours later.
Mr. Crisp wasn't falling short too, as he also had all kinds of ridiculous excuses for his absence.
My dad just passed away. I just felt I was sad that he passed away, so I just got out and partied. I guess I really didn't.
Now, Mr. Crisp, when you go out for your party, the party lasts 3 or 4 days?
Sometimes longer.
Yes, Your Honor.
Sleeping with friends? Now that's bold.
That's not even here.
Well,
That's
I still owe you 10 more. I mean, you cheated on with all my friends.
Hold on.
That's like
Mr. Crisp, but you understand if she goes out and
exactly
cheats, and then you take her back and say you want to try to work it out, if you then go stay away for 4 days at a party, that's not helping matters either.
No, Your Honor.
Without an ounce of remorse or guilt, Miss Hewlett openly and bluntly confessed to cheating with multiple other men.
I come clean pretty quick. I know he was incarcerated. I was pregnant with Bentley, and I had wrote him a letter telling him it was about 10 people.
And you admitted that you had been with 10 other men.
Yes, Your Honor.
The list of accusations was long, but Judge Lake was now literally done with the duo.
He wasn't there. I felt like I was alone, so I was going to live my life with or without him.
You don't not cheat on me. You
I
have 2
understand
kids,
we have 3 kids, but when you're not there, you're not there. I was the only one that worked. I was the only one trying to take care of everything.
People just didn't pay me.
If you weren't happy in the relationship, instead of constantly cheating on him with various men so that paternity of your child would be an issue, how about just breaking off the relationship and moving on?
The plaintiff kept idiotically defending herself in front of the judge with no regard for her action.
I own up to my mistakes.
I like the I own up to my mistakes, but that's a convenient response because it doesn't mean anything to me unless you take action that indicates that you learned from the mistake. But what's happening is...
And I did. There's my action,
But
and
what
I
I'm
learned.
saying is admitting that you slept with other men is not an automatic get out of jail
That's why
free
I'm
card.
here.
All right, I'm done with them. So let's move on to the results, shall we?
The case of Hewlett versus Crisp, when it comes to the paternity of 2-year-old Bentley Crisp. Mr. Crisp, you are his father.